You are listening to Wicked Psychotherapists, a podcast where two psychotherapists show you that taking care of and learning about mental health doesn't have to be wicked hard.
Hey guys, this is Tanya.
Hi, it's Erin, and welcome to Wicked Psychotherapists.
Yeah, welcome. So we are steering sharply off course from our Adamverse this week. So we will be visiting just a whole new realm. I don't even know what category this is in, honestly. Maybe sensationalism or something. I don't know. But we're going to be looking at the Netflix, I almost said HBO, the Netflix series Trainwrecked. If you've heard of it, it has like different stories of different kind of sensational events that happened. And the one we're focusing on today is Balloon Boy. So yeah, because we thought that some things to discuss in there. It's an interesting story. So yeah.
It's funny because I was going to say, it's funny because we both saw it and we're like, okay, remember when this happened? That kind of got us off of the Adam train for a minute on this.
Yeah. We kind of started just chatting about that. And yeah. So this happened back in 2009, so it's a while ago, and we both remembered when it happened, and it was big news. But if you are not familiar with this, we'll just give a little brief background.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a family, the Heaney family, made up of Richard, the father. I think his name was Richard. Oh man, Richard. I know that the wife's name is Mayumi. I remember Mayumi's name. I don't remember his name. I think it's Richard.
I don't know. I tried looking it up. I couldn't find it. So
for some reason, I'm thinking Richard. I guess he's just going to be called Richard in this. I don't know. But the dad, he's very eccentric. Mayumi, and like they kind of seem to be on the same wavelength with their parenting. They have three young boys at this time, 2009. Brad, Rio, and
Falcon,
which Falcon plays a big part. He's the youngest one. He's about 6 at this time. And so I guess dad he has appeared on Wife Swap a couple of times, which we can talk about a little bit later, but he's kind of known to be a very eccentric character. He's got very strong opinions. The way he expresses himself is kind of unique. How would you characterize the dad? And I keep saying the dad because I cannot remember his name.
Yeah, I mean, I think he seems kind of, I don't know, I was going to say flamboyant, over the top, because he's just like, his emotions are just out there. He's like very excited, very angry, very, I don't know. I don't know if it's because he is an inventor, so he's just kind of just with his thoughts a lot. It's that he just spurts stuff out. But yeah, he just seems kind of a little wild.
Yeah, he's kind of got the mad genius thing going on. Like he's eccentric, but he also is, has 3 young kids, and he doesn't give the best impression that he maybe is considerate to their needs, I guess is the nicest way to put that. He does yell a lot. Again, this is all on TV. I don't know if this is like sensationalism. That was kind of that time, and when he was on Wife Swap, he had a lot of things he was known for then too. But basically, the dad was, and the kids, because he involves the kids in a lot of these experiments and kind of things that he likes to build. He's really good at, engineering and kind of understanding that stuff, building stuff. He's building this like balloon type structure. I don't know any other way to put it. Looks kind of like a UFO, big silver shiny thing that looks like a flying saucer.
Like the old Jiffy Pops.
That's supposed to be like moved by the wind.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A Jiffy Pop.
It does. Yeah, it totally. Oh my God, that's exactly what it reminds me of. Yeah. Oh my God. I haven't thought about that in a while. Do they still make Jiffy Pop?
I saw it in the grocery store not too long ago. I used to love it. Just, like, all right, we're going to go back and forth, and then it starts popping, and it's just so exciting.
Yeah, it was. And then just seeing it pop or like get, bigger, like and inflate and everything. It totally is a Jiffy Pop balloon. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. Yeah. And so they're building this. They're kind of in the backyard. The oldest son is recording this, kind of what they're doing. And I guess there is a moment when, the balloon is supposed to be tethered. The youngest son, Falcon, apparently was kind of playing around in it. And at some random moment, the balloon just kind of takes off into the wind. And the older son is like, I think Falcon was in there. Like he was in there because he saw
because they
him
couldn't
playing.
find him. They couldn't find him after. They're like, Falcon, Falcon. And it's on the video. And at first they're just laughing. And then I think they realize, like, oh, is he really stuck inside there? What are we going to do?
Yeah, and this is kind of hard to explain visually because it is like Erin said, the Jiffy Pop top, and then there's kind of this little stump kind of at the bottom where apparently there's a little opening where somebody or something could go in, like a small child.
Yeah.
But this door is not very secure. So if he were up in there, it was kind of, there's no way to kind of retether it down. There's nothing like digital to bring it down. It's very much just controlled by the wind, and it starts to blow. It ended up blowing 50 miles off course. And when they, the parents start to panic, the dad yells at the mom and blames her, and says something like, this is your fault or something. And really it just kind of some freak thing happened where it just kind of untethered itself. I don't know if they still even know what happened.
Yeah, it looked like, because they're in Colorado, and I think there was just like a really big wind gust when it happened. But
Yeah,
I mean, it I don't know, watching again, it looked like it was an accident, but it didn't, but who knows? From that point, it looked like an accident to me. It didn't look like he was trying to seek attention, or, at least like from, I remember too watching it in 2009 and thinking like, what the heck is happening? Is this real? Is this, like.
Right. Yeah. Like what happened here? Yeah, no, I agree with you. To me, it kind of just felt like it was something went wrong, and maybe, since they couldn't find him, and then the older brother was like, well, I think I saw him playing around there. I mean, why wouldn't you be scared about that? And, so they called up, I don't know, rescue emergency services, and I guess the National Guard got involved. The media caught wind of this. This was global news, if you remember that. It was everywhere, as they were watching this balloon thinking like, oh my God, did something fall out? Is this boy going to fall out? Because it's not a secure place, and the winds are whipping him around. And he's high up there. He's not like, if he fell out, he'd be very injured, if not maybe, kind of, he might be killed, and so it was like everybody was in suspense. They didn't know, they still couldn't find a Falcon, and so there's just this media uproar of like, oh my gosh, what happened? How could this happen? Like, what if this kid felt like, what are we going to find in the balloon? Is this kid going to be okay? Is he going to be like just forever traumatized, or is he somewhere, lying dead somewhere, like, and people were just gripped by it.
Yeah. Cause there was one point, there was a point when they were filming the balloon thing, you could see something fall out of the balloon. And so that's when they're like, oh no, like, is it the boy? What happened? So
yeah,
when they finally got the balloon down, they couldn't find him.
Yeah. And they chased it down. I guess the media chased it down. The rescue services, National Guard chased it down. When they got there was no boy in there. And, that kind of doesn't really tell them anything other than maybe he fell out already, or like, what the heck's going on here? Seemingly, I mean, the family seemed to be freaking out, and as I think any parent would. But then shortly thereafter, Falcon appears at the house and is like, what's going on?
He just walks like tired, like just like he just woke up or something. Just like, why is there all these people? Why is everyone here? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think there was some interview with Mayumi where she was like, oh my gosh, you're okay. You're okay. Like, she was relieved, she wasn't, it seemed genuine to me. I don't know. I didn't get the sense. I know this is labeled as the hoax or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know that I'm sold on that.
No, I'm not either, because that's what I mean. Like, it's hard because it's easy to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's like narcissistic, something, just wants to be in the spotlight, and it's all about him. Look at the damage he did to his family, and he put his family at risk. But also, I'm seeing as this little 5 or 6-year-old little boy was just playing hiding. He said, I fell asleep in the attic or whatever, and I could see that really happening. And I also could see the other brother freaking out because he saw him playing in the balloon earlier and not really knowing if he's in the balloon or not. And it is pretty chaotic. Like when the balloon goes up, it's flying away. They're like, oh my gosh, how are we going to get this? And then they're like, oh, where's Falcon? A lot of chaos. And then also it probably made them feel like he was in there even more because the police came and searched the house and no one found him.
That's right. They did do a search, yeah, because he was in this kind of like, I guess it was like a crawl space kind of attic, like in the garage or something. It was kind of hard. Like they didn't really like the parents didn't know that they even went up there, they said. And I don't think it was like a common space for him, even though he said he had been there a couple times before. I think it was maybe just like a getaway from having a couple brothers and just like he was like, oh, I can go nap here or something.
Right.
Which sounds pretty reasonable. I mean, I don't know. To me, I was kind of like, yeah, I could kind of see that. And
Yeah.
yeah. So
I mean,
I don't know.
I know. I used to have like when I was younger, I had a entrance into the attic from my bedroom, like through my closet, and I would hang out. I'd play it's probably so bad, but I'd play inside the little attic crawl space area. I'd put like my dolls and whatever.
That was your hiding spot.
That was my hiding spot
privacy.
with all the insulation. But I could
Oh my
see
gosh,
it.
yeah.
I do feel like, that is plausible.
Yeah, I actually, I didn't like there was an attic that we had that was like always super, super hot in the summer because it just had, that like pink cotton candy styrofoam
Yeah.
or not styrofoam, insulation. And I do remember going up there and just kind of playing, but like kind of being like, okay, there's it's so hot up here. I couldn't really stay up there, but it was a place I would go, or like I'd go with a couple of my sisters and we just kind of go in, I don't know, just to get away.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely could be. It definitely I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
There's some background and some context to this as to why I think maybe this wasn't so credible because of Richard Heaney's character, I guess, maybe. And so just kind of going back, he started out way before this. He wanted to be a stand-up comic and actor, and he kind of failed at that. He wasn't able to meet that or whatever. So that was kind of his intended career path, or maybe his desire at one point. And so there's kind of that point, right? And then he got into designing things, making things, building things, and storm chasing. And he kind of, was showing this eccentric side of himself because he appeared on the show Wife Swap a couple of times, and he showed himself to kind of have, and who knows how much of this was scripted or sensationalized for him to kind of get attention. But he would say things like, oh, women, past the age of 25, it's all mentally downhill, and he would kind of have like his own charms, but he just was not very likable at various points. And the kids were in the Wife Swap were portrayed as like not having any type of structure and were kind of feral acting, and and it was kind of like, he really valued spontaneity and curiosity, which I think is really cool, but he'd also put the kids in possible danger by taking them out of school and taking them storm chasing.
Right.
Really close to it. The wife Mayumi seemed to be kind of just on board with these things. It kind of seemed like they maybe, this was what she liked, or I don't know. I mean, she seemed to just kind of be like, yeah, this is a fun ride kind of thing. Don't you like this, boys? And it sounds like she had some of the same values as him. So, and some people question, was he acting this extreme way to try and get his own show? Apparently he did actually have a deal to have a show of his own, but when the quote unquote hoax popped up, they canceled it. So
was the show going to be based on the balloon thing, or was it on after the Wife Swap?
It was after Wife Swap. It was before, it was in the works before the incident. So it wasn't about the balloon thing, but it was something about his, I think it was called like Sci Files or something like that. It was about his like belief in science and kind of like, or like kind of otherworldly type things, and probably like bringing out his out there fringe beliefs at the time.
Right.
But they canceled it because he got charged. He and his wife got charged after this because the officials found this to be a hoax. Like they had done this.
Yeah.
intentionally. And
Well, then
I mean, they
also
did,
that makes you question too. Like, so why would he jeopardize his possible TV show for this hoax
yeah,
if he was already going to get publicity and fame from the sci-fi show or whatever it was?
right. Yeah, that's kind of what I didn't really understand, when I kind of learned about that because I don't think I knew that, but I read about that just recently and I was like, "Oh, that doesn't really make sense." Like why would
Yeah.
he, or maybe he thought this would drum up some publicity or something like that. Maybe that's how it was kind of rationalized, but it just went awry.
Yeah. Well,
I
yeah,
don't
because it's
know, but
sci-fi-ish. Yeah, it looks like a spaceship.
yeah, and like a little boy trapped in there, but I don't really know how that really helps with any, you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And he is a wild character. He's very out there.
Yeah.
The things he says, who knows how much of that is a character, because he does have a base in acting, and yeah, this was around the time, you had pointed out when things were kind of going viral, and YouTube and things like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but officials were like pretty convinced that this was something that was set up because I think just because of whatever they saw or whatever they understood. And also when there were interviews being given after the fact, with the whole family, somebody asked the question of the little boy Falcon, like, "Oh, why did you decide to come out from like your hiding space or whatever? Why didn't you come
Mhm.
out with all the fuss and everything?" And he was like, "Well, they said it was because of the show."
Yeah.
And people interpreted that to mean like, "Oh, because we wanted a reality show." But I think Richard explained later, or was explained later, that Falcon may have like kind of seen all this like media all of a sudden. He woke up and, you
Yeah.
know, maybe he felt like, oh, I have to get out there. Somebody said like, oh, you gotta come out and talk to them now, like
Mhm.
to the show, the media
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that does make sense to me.
Mhm.
I don't know. I kind of don't love being on the side of someone like this guy, but I don't really actually know him either. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
But
hard
I
because
don't.
you kind of wanna dislike him because he is so arrogant and he's so kind of, again, out there, and it is very easy for people to be like, "Oh, yeah, he's just, this or that," or, "Look at all the harm he's doing for his family." But, yeah, I mean, I don't think that the kids were, like, the best behaved, and probably due to parenting, their parenting practice, whatever type of parenting style they used. And I know it's been dubbed a hoax, but part of me, I don't know, it's hard for me, but I do kind of believe that it wasn't fully a hoax.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just don't. I feel like I don't. I know this is my true crime brain coming out, but like I don't really see enough evidence. I don't know. It just doesn't really add up unless there's something I don't know about that wasn't in these documentaries and these
Yeah.
other clips and things that I read about, which is definitely possible. I mean, I didn't,
Mhm. Yeah, and there could have been also
but
because there were interviews from the neighbors, and I'm sure other people probably saw their behavior or lack of behavior or their reactions, so, and that also was probably like, "Oh, yeah, this isn't really adding up. It doesn't seem real." And
yeah, yeah. It may be a case of preconceived notions, right? That
Mhm.
if they didn't appear to be super structured and not like maybe responsible in some people's eyes. Maybe they thought, "Oh, well, they would do this, so they did do this." That can
Yeah,
that
yeah,
can kind of shape people's opinions
yeah,
too.
they don't really have a good way to take care of their kids or to make sure they're not in, to make sure that they're safe. So, yeah, so they would more likely do this, or they would use their kids to get famous, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and his personality being kind of egocentric and
Mhm.
the way he portrays himself, it kind of fits. And we had also talked about, when they brought up charges, there was some kind of, leverage that they held over him because they were like, "Oh, well, if you don't plead guilty to this I don't know if this was official. This is just what was said
Yeah,
by
in
probably
the
by Richard
documentary.
himself."
Yeah.
That he said, well, if they basically indicated if he didn't say he was guilty, then they were they were gonna like possibly look at deporting Mayumi, and so
Yeah.
there was some of that in there, and so maybe because people were like, "Oh, why did he plead guilty then?" And maybe that was why, because maybe he didn't want his wife to be deported, his family to be broken up, and he got charged. I think he, for we don't like 90 days or something in jail. She had kind of the report to jail like on the weekends kind of thing because she's the primary caregiver, for a certain amount of time. So they were charged with this. So I guess in the eyes of everybody else looking back on that, they just think like, well, they're guilty, but I don't know, were they? I don't know.
Yeah.
If you thought your kid was in that balloon, wouldn't I would call up people and be
Everyone.
like, "Hey, can you help me?" Like National Guard, sure, I'll take them, because if you really think that, is that really a crime if you really did believe that? I don't know. And I'm not, yeah, I'm just not convinced. I'm not convinced. I don't know. And, in the documentary, they did follow them to, I was kind of hoping we were saying this, I was kind of hoping there'd be more on the kids, like where are they at kind of thing, but they didn't
Yeah.
really.
Where are they now? Yeah. They just
Yeah.
interviewed like the one, it seemed like Falcon. He seemed to be the
Yeah.
only one that was talking, and it seemed like he put a lot of pressure on himself too, like where he's like, oh, well, I guess it's, like there's one point where you could tell he kind of blames himself for all of this. But then he also said, but I was only 6. So
Yeah, and if that's really what happened, if he was just sleeping up in the, I mean, what was he supposed to do? He didn't know what was going on, like he didn't realize. It's not like he was sitting there just giggling, or whatever. And honestly, even if he was still only 6 and didn't realize the gravity of it, So, but that doesn't sound like that's what happened. But yeah, so I think the documentary doesn't really have an opinion. It's kind of neutral. It's kind of just presenting these things and kind of being like, look at these things. Look at where they are now, kind of thing, like a little bit at the end. And it was a little more neutral, whereas some documentaries that I've seen, otherwise can be very much, you can tell which side they're kind of leaning on. So I think it was more in the neutral kind of stance. Yeah, and it really was, what really was so fascinating about this case, and I like I was saying this to Erin because we talked about this before, is I didn't really understand why it was it was global news. I mean, it was like jokes are being made on late night shows, like everybody knew Balloon Boy, that became like a moniker, like just everywhere. And well, I think the general consensus was that, wow, this guy just faked it, like, and that's it. We're just going to keep going with that.
right.
But if you think about it, I mean, I was reading a few articles that were like, hey, the media actually, I know that this happened so quickly, but they kind of sensationalized it as well too, and they didn't necessarily vet all their sources when they put it everywhere, and why were we so fascinated with it? And kind of that type of lens, I guess, on it too. So
Yeah.
there's those things to consider also. It's not just, I mean, there was a reason why it was global, because people were like, wow, that's really weird,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and the fact that, say this happened to be something that was planned, the fact that this was something that, the father, Richard, he did use, if in this scenario, if this was planned, that he would have used the sympathy from like, oh my gosh, my son could die, kind of thing. And the fact that he didn't put him in there, right? He didn't like actually test this out. I'm not saying that would be right, but I mean,
Right.
he wasn't looking to harm his son, but at the same point, that would have been really wrong to have used that.
Right.
But I don't know. I think you and I are on the same page, and we just think it doesn't seem to. I don't know. You see the video before when it was released, it did. Yeah, it seemed very genuine.
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard to tell. I mean, I know looking at it back, you're like, oh my gosh, this family, they did it. They're, but, and it is really easy to look at him and think like, oh yeah, he's something, he definitely seems like the type that would want the attention. But it is really hard to, I don't know. I have a hard time to fully believe that it's 100% a hoax.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think there's enough. Again, unless we're missing something, and I really don't know what evidence they had to convict. I don't understand what they had, because that would have been hard to prove, I think.
Right.
But somehow they did. So I don't know. I'm just thinking like from a legal aspect, that just is a little bizarre to me. Yeah, and at the end of the documentary, there was a hint, which this didn't really help his case too much, but he did hint at, like, well, there might be something in the works, like something seeing me soon kind of thing. Richard had said that. But I don't know, maybe that's just because it is, like maybe he's just he's someone who likes to share a lot of things, his eccentric style, and maybe he's just always attracted to like TV because of that. But that doesn't necessarily mean he would put on a whole hoax to get there, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, and to be honest, I'm curious if they have like a YouTube channel or if they, have Instagram, because that would be like the perfect way for them to, if he was really into this, or to just showcase some of these things. Like now it's like everywhere, like back then it wouldn't have been as much.
That's true.
So I'm kind of curious if he does, or if he's not, like maybe he's not that interested in this. Maybe he just really is kind of fascinated by this stuff. I don't know. He's a little bit of a stumper for me, but I'm curious to what he comes up with next. Yeah, I really don't know. I think this just kind of left us a little bit, of wondering, like we don't really know, and I don't know why it was able to be called a hoax so quickly and how it was prosecuted. I don't get it. But I don't know. Tell us what you think, because you if you're of a certain age, you remember this, or you've definitely heard about it mentioned in certain references, like cultural references. It was just in the zeitgeist. It was everywhere. And I mean, it really is something, I think, that it's like that moment in time people can point to and be like, oh, Balloon Boy. Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
some
because
other
it
event.
was like, yeah.
I'm trying to think of one.
Yeah, I don't know what else was going on around that time, but it was kind of.
But I mean, I was thinking of just like in general, like other points that we can reference, and I couldn't even think of another one. Oh, like COVID, like that happened. We knew it was around. I mean, obviously that was a different thing, but like kind of those things that are like points in our mind, references that were like, oh yeah, I remember that. The O.J. Simpson trial, that kind of
Cato
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So let us know what you think. If there's things that maybe we're not understanding, maybe we're not seeing a different perspective, or different, kind of evidence or whatever that maybe we just didn't really look at. But that is our opinion, and we're sticking to it. So that's what it's about. And we just thought this was kind of interesting, a nice little break. The train wreck series is pretty cool. Has some good ones that maybe we'll look at some in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'll skip the poop cruise. I don't want to see that one.
I did watch that one, and that one was interesting. It was gross, but it was interesting. But yeah, so now for our challenge question. This one's gonna be probably a little rough. So in terms of just kind of making the choice. So speaking of, in the spirit of Balloon Boy, if you had the choice between, say you had to, or let's just say you were incentivized, like you were offered a large amount of money.
Okay.
I don't know, 5 million or so, to do one of the three things, which would you choose? So, Balloon Boy, be in that balloon, in that little hatch thing or whatever.
Okay.
With the same safety protocols, right?
None. Yeah.
Yep. Skydiving.
Okay.
Or let's say bungee jumping. Would you accept the challenge? And B, what would you choose?
Okay. So I don't think I'd do Balloon Boy because there's no safety. You would just kind of like, what, I don't even know what you'd hold on to. And then the door
it
would
doesn't
fall
seem like there's
open.
much in there.
Yeah. Bungee jumping, I don't know. I always think of my uncle when bungee jumping when I was younger, and he used to always show the same video from like some fair in New York, but carnival or something. I don't know. And skydiving, I don't know. I always get worried. Like you always hear like the people skydiving class or something, someone falls out. I think of the choices, I would probably pick skydiving because it's really scary, but hopefully you're with somebody that knows what they're doing. It's all been checked and stuff like that. And it's not scary. I don't think it's super scary the whole time because then it's like slows down. And I think, I've never been. I know you've been, right? Or you, but so I think I would probably do skydiving for the 5 million.
Yeah, I would choose that again. I think, yeah, because I actually do want to go skydiving again, so I would do it. Yeah, like, and I really had a good time with it. The Balloon Boy thing, I agree with you. That does not seem safe at all, and you could just fly right out of there. And knowing me, I would. And bungee jumping, I used to think I wanted to do that, but I'm kind of not. I don't know. Something is kind of as I get older, I'm not into it. So yeah, I
Tied
would
by
do
your
skydiving.
ankle, being tied by your ankles or whatever they do, it just doesn't seem fun. It's
Yeah,
just like
yeah. And to me,
jumping
that's
off a
like you're
bridge.
just attached to a rope. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say I wouldn't ever do that, but like if I had the choice, I would definitely choose skydiving because it was
Yeah.
fun. It was very,
Mhm.
very fun. You felt like you're flying. So, and you definitely have to be if you haven't done a certain amount of dives, you have to be in tandem with someone who is very experienced. Like you have to be. Like it's
Yeah.
not really, as far as I know, in most countries, that's kind of what it is in the United States. So yeah, well, that is. So I guess that wasn't really tough. It was more just kind of like thinking about it. But kind of little adventure question, and the 5 million doesn't hurt, right? That's
No,
a
no, it
nice
kind of makes it a
incentive.
little bit easier to be
Yeah, because I
afraid.
didn't want to make it a question like, oh, if you had to do it, because it's like, okay, in what instance would you have to do
Yeah,
that? But
right.
yeah, so a little fun treat there. But yeah, so that is Balloon Boy. Let us know your take. Let us know your answer to the challenge question if you want. Let us know any and all things, any
Mhm.
questions, any suggestions. We love to hear it. We are on all platforms, including YouTube.
Mhm.
So you can see my messy office right now because something keeps zooming out with my camera and I just don't care to fix it anymore. So, yeah, but we will be taking a short break, so we will have some kind of oldies but goodies reruns for a few
Mhm.
weeks. I will be motorcycling around Europe and during this heat wave, but I am very, very excited for that.
And that should be fun.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and yeah, so yeah, I think we'll be back. Yeah, and I'll be radioactive during that time. I'll be getting
and Erin will be radioactive. Yeah.
I'll be getting radiation for my thyroid. So we'll be back. Yeah, I think like September. But I'll have stuff released. We'll release stuff in between. Like some oldies, like Tanya said.
Some oldies but goodies,
Yep.
reruns and
Yeah.
things that maybe are kind of, trending for this time of year that we think you might enjoy to hear
Mhm.
again. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we hope you have a good rest of the summer. I mean, and still enjoy listening to us as well. In the meantime with our reruns, but you take care and don't forget, stay wicked.
And keep your mind well. All right. Well, talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks so much for listening today to the Wicked Psychotherapist podcast. Be sure to like and follow us on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts.